Here we have the Horizon Hobby UMX WACO. This is the yellow one. They come in yellow and they come in white, and I think white and blue. The popular one is yellow. The yellow ones are a little heavier because they're painted yellow. The whiter ones don't have all the paint on them and they fly a little better, I hear, but they're not as popular as the yellow. So I decided I wanted to get one of these a long time ago. I've had the 1200 millimeter Dynam WACO for a long time, and that thing flies like a teddy bear. Beautiful flyer. So I figured, you know, I get one of these, it'll be the same thing, only in a UMX version. And there it goes rolling in the wind. But the wind is picking up here this morning. But it comes, and it's a 3-cell, 300 milliamp battery power supply system. You get a little pilot and a kind of a wire tied scarf on him. I got my timer on for 5 minutes. It'll come just about 5 minutes. And my voltage is about every 30 seconds update. I'm going to set it so I can just flip a switch and get it, and I have to listen to it every 30 seconds, but that's what I got it set on for now anyway for this flight. I'll turn it down a little bit.
Value 75, flight pack 12.3 volts.
Value 70. That's better. Alright, I decided I wanted to get one of these a long time ago when I saw somebody flying one out at the airfield, but I put it off for a long time, and I think finally after almost a year a year to date, I decided to watch a few videos on it, and everybody who was flying them, it said it was challenging in the wind, but they enjoyed it for the most part. They said it was easy to fly, so I went and bought one, and I went to the shop to get batteries for it, and the guy who I'd seen fly it told me, "Hey, you want another one?" I'm like, "Why?" And he says, "I don't like it. It flies like crap. I'm always fighting with it." So I'm like, well, I guess I'll find out. All right, here we go. See how it gets up? Pretty easy. You gotta treat it like any larger tail dragger as far as getting the wheel off the ground and then going. I did a lot of trimming on this thing out of the box. I discovered why a friend of mine, see, it looks pretty good now. I discovered why a friend of mine did not like it. Out of the box, this is not a good flyer. It is not even a beginner plane flyer out of the box, because it is a handful. And I discovered right off the bat that it was nose heavy. As soon as I let go of the stick, she wanted to go down, dive for the deck. And when I slowed it up to land, then it was like on a roller coaster, almost like a tail heavy airplane, pitching way up to a stop, and then I had to push it over. So I struggled to get it on the ground.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
Move the battery around. I ended up having to do two things. I ended up having to not only move the position of battery in a way I did not want to get it right up next to the motor, because that's what it is. It's butted right up against the motor. I also had to mechanically trim, which is hard to do on a UMX airplane, mechanically trim the elevator to a more nose down. And in order to do that, those little wire control links, they have kind of a built-in bend to them, so you can expand it and contract it. You have to expand it instead of contract it in order to get the elevator nose down. She flies real nice now. And I took it up and flew it again, and it was a lot better. I still had to trim it a little bit, and this is hard to trim on a UMX plane because it moves so quick, so fast, that you can't get your hands off the stick long enough to find the trimmer and trim it. So what I ended up doing was, John from Two Brothers RC has a really fantastic video on how to use all the functions in the NX transmitter, and I learned a lot watching that. I only adopted probably a couple things off of it, but they were things I never knew existed. And one of them was I crossed my trims. So now if I want to trim my elevator, I use the left hand,
Time remaining 2 minutes.
the throttle trimmer, to trim the elevator, so I can keep my hand on the stick.
11.0.
And to do my ailerons, I keep my hand on the stick and I use the left hand rudder adjust. So I'm not losing control of the airplane for a few seconds. That was fantastic, and that saved me a lot. Made it a whole lot easier to get this thing dialed in.
Flight pack 10.9 volts.
All right, 10.9 volts, so I'm gonna have to ease it up a little bit. I've been running pretty high power. Do some circles. Like I say, the larger Dynamo WACO flies like a teddy bear. Very beautiful, does everything you want it to do. The
Time remaining 1
aerobatics are smooth, graceful. But I did damage it, and I do have to do some repairs on it because I took my eyes off it for just a minute to look at something else. You know, when I looked back up at it, it wasn't doing anything terrible, but as an old man, it takes my brain and eyes a little while to connect in sync. And I lost control of it just for a few moments, trying to gather what it was doing and what I was seeing. Then I flew it into the ground lightly. No, it was more than lightly. I hit it pretty good.
minutes.
Fuck. Bad word, but I lost orientation with that plane up there. Quite a bit of damage on it. So I know I can't take my eyes off this thing for a second, because it just takes my brain and eyes a while to
8,
recognize what it's seeing.
6,
Oh wow, we're already 5 minutes.
3, 2, 1.
So I'm going to land this thing. I'll show you how it lands. I'm going to land it right on the same spot I took it off from. You'll see that
Flight pack 10.9
it
volts.
just sets right down and stops, pretty much. Look at that. Here's the plane up there. I'm going to turn this around. I got a little higher than I wanted.
Timer start.
Nope.
Flight pack
Well, it's slow pretty good. I got it too close to me.
volts.
Here we go.
Timer start. Timer start. Timer start. Timer start.
Yeah, a little drag on the wing, but otherwise not too bad. It lands pretty good. So that's that. So as usual, if I'm trying to talk while I'm flying, I tend to get a lot of things backwards in detail, because I'm trying to focus so much on what I'm seeing and doing that I often get my verbiage backwards. So as you can see here, I have a mechanical trim dialed in on the elevator. You can see the leading edge horn is down a little bit. So here's where the battery is sitting in the tree. It's not all the way up, butted up against the motor mount like I said, but it is all the way forward on the tray. And I'm sure I'd like to have it going the other direction, this direction, but the leads would get in the way of the motor mount. I know you're saying, you know, why would you have the battery that far forward if you're running nose heavy and you have to trim the nose up? But you know, even when I had the battery back quite a bit further back here, I still had to trim it nose up because it still wanted to pitch down. So the trimming up was inevitable. I put it here because that is where it balances out statically per where the manual says to balance it, 38 millimeters back from the leading edge. That's pretty much where it sits, and it looks like a really good balance there. So I just left it there, and I did the mechanical trim to make it fly right. I mean, I hear you guys. I understand. I'm not an engineer. All right. Yeah, I'm an aircraft mechanic by trade, but I'm not an engineer. So I have to work these things out back and forth over and over all the time to wrap my mind around it. You know, my ex-girlfriend, her father was an engineer, so she has a little bit of engineer in her. She can remember this stuff without any problem. But I cannot. If I get preoccupied flying, I get it all backwards in my head. You know, I wanted this plane for a long time, so I really hyped it up in my mind. Probably I hyped it up more than I should have. Because when you imagine it, you imagine perfection. And I got the thing, and I really had to struggle with it out of the box to get it to fly right. And I listened to a guy at the hobby shop who had one, and he had the same problems. So, but other than that, once it's dialed in, it's a nice flying airplane. It doesn't fly as light and slow as maybe a UMX Timber, you know, or the UMX Cub, and it does fly a little heavy, but it is a UMX plane. It's very beautiful. It's worth getting just for the scale model aspect of it and the aesthetics. I mean, this is one of those things I'd love to have hanging from a ceiling or sitting on a table somewhere. It just looks great, but it's a remote control plane, so they're made to fly. They're not much good if you're not doing that. I like how they got the interconnect wires for the wings. The Dyna model doesn't have the interconnect wires. It just has the main struts. You could put some on if you wanted to, but this is really nice that it has that. So I'm not much for UMXs. For UMX airplanes, I have one other one. I have an older UMX P51, and now I have this. Otherwise, I really have no other interest in UMX airplanes because, you know, in my mind, it's like trying to remote control fly a house fly. It's just, they're all over the place and they're quick. I prefer the larger, slow lumbering, more scale flying airplanes if I have the option. But these days, it's, you know, with the regulations, it's nice to have a UMX hanging around where you can just kind of go outside in your backyard if you got a big backyard, or just go to a local baseball field, park and just fly it around. And if you're busy like I am with all your other hobbies, sometimes you just need to get out for a few minutes and scratch that itch. And this does it for you. Thanks for watching.